receive full benefits package with paid time off. Join a small local business doing big things in Lincoln and surrounding areas. Apply today by calling 402-525-6922 or find them on social media. Davis Plumbing, locally owned and operated for over 15 years.
Be sure to check out the top-selling Recomp. Recomp helps build lean muscle and strength while decreasing body fat. Recomp is ideal for men and women of all ages trying to look their best. Recomp can only be found in Nutrition Authority. For info, visit mynutritionauthority.com.
Right now, when you drive by Honda of Lincoln, you'll see more than 200 new Hondas and over 125 pre-owned vehicles. Hi, Charlie Stone here, and with me on the line is Andy Goodyear of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, how does it feel to have so many vehicles in stock again for your customers?
Charlie, it feels amazing to see how excited our customers are. They love the ability to see, test drive, and take immediate delivery of the exact new Honda they're looking for.
Do you have some good offers to talk about?
We sure do, Charlie. We're offering financing as low as 0.9% APR up to 72 months, or great lease rates on every new Honda. It's the perfect time to drive away in the new Honda you've been dreaming of.
How about pre-owned, Andy?
We have over 125 pre-owned and certified pre-owned vehicles to choose from. Just about every make and model with prices starting at under $10,000.
Maybe it's time you experience the best, the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next big opportunity? Constructors is hiring. We're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. We offer competitive wages, great benefits, brand new service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for our shop and multiple field technicians. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at constructorslincoln.com.
Inventory in Lincoln is extremely low. Current lead times for construction are running anywhere from 7 to 9 months. Having some homes that are available now is really great for our community.
Bob Benish is the founder and president of Aspen Builders, online at aspenbuildersinc.com.
Finding affordable home in East Lincoln is getting very difficult to do, especially in a new construction. We have homes available just on the west side of Hillcrest Country Club. Prices start just over $400,000. Big ranches, 3-stall garages. Our designer has selected incredible finishes that will amaze you. To get a new construction home on that side of town for just over $400,000 is a fantastic buy.
Make your dream a reality and call Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at aspenbuildersinc.com. Your dream home is waiting at Aspen Builders.
Hey guys, Austin Norman here. Join me and Jay Foreman this Friday, February 14th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Complex for weigh-ins for Saturday's The Heart of the Lion boxing event. Weigh-ins are at 6 p.m. and the public is welcome to be there. That's Friday the 14th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Complex at 1555 Yolanda Avenue, just off Cornhusker Highway.
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. This is Old School, sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman and Austin Oerman. Old School with Foreman and Oerman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
What up, Old School, the new school way. Jay Foreman, Austin Oerman. We are brought to you by the Mercado, Certified Piedmontese, Special Ingredients and Butcher Shop, 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, 85th and Andremat, and 168th and Maple up there in the O. Appreciate Strick and Kevin Meyer, Cork and Bottle coming Thirsty Thursday, then Strick on the block, providing all his knowledge and excitement as always. And then stay tuned after this. They have WTF with E. Strick and Cade Johnson is going to talk about the Super Bowl, obviously Husker hoops, but his thoughts on the what happened in the Super Bowl to the Kansas City Chiefs. But up until then, we're going to focus a little bit on the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, what they need to do. The NFL Combine invites came out, so I can dive into a little bit more about my Combine experience. I didn't get to it much yesterday. because it was a short segment. Matter of fact, let's just jump into it right now because I know I can cover 17 minutes of this. Listen,
to those 4 Huskers who are going, listen closely.
The 4 Huskers, right? Isaiah Nair, right? Ty Robinson, Tommy Hill, Thomas Fedoni. And I will tell you what, I went to the combine. I got invited. Obviously, felt like I deserved to go, and it's a different climate then, just because they don't have the bandwidth that they do now to have information on it. They, I didn't have social media, so they can't draw a conclusion on that. They don't have reality shows like they unfortunately drew a negative conclusion on Spencer Rattler. They just kind of were going off what they heard from the, maybe the few people that they knew in around the Nebraska program, and then what they know from when they came in just once or twice during the spring and one time during the fall or whatever. So the combine was a very unique experience, and it was told to me by the same Lloyd Parker that I talked about, that I met when he was talking junk about my dad on the basketball court. He said, when I came in, and this is Lloyd talking about when he interviewed to work at Bank of America, he was saying, and he was obviously higher up or whatever, him and Daryl Carrington, but he said that he, when they brought him in, they make sure the flight was, on time, at a time that he could make it. They want him to travel comfortably. I'm sure they upgraded him to some sort of first class or business class. He got in, had somebody pick him up, probably took him to get something to eat, all that, wine and dine him. Didn't, then the next day it was very casual. Then you got over there, you spend, so it was a 2 or 3 day interview process, and it happened 2 or 3 times. But they always wanted him to be at his best, right? Rested, fed, happy. I think he might have probably brought his wife and stuff then, right? Well, the combine is different. It's the exact opposite, the total opposite. It is literally trying to wear you down to see. They want to see you at your worst, or see if that you can battle through tough times. And then here's that you'll get there, right? Very minimal, at least when I went, very minimal information where to go. Obviously, they communicated to you through your agent. Very minimal. Then you went to and you took a shuttle to the hotel. You check in, and then immediately when you get there, as soon as your bags go in there, they tell you have to report to a general check-in area, which you get your name badge and all that stuff and times to be places. And then they feed you the food that they feed you is literally like an equivalent of a old turkey sandwich, some chips, and a cookie, and one small water bottle. Now, what you do is you bring your own stuff with you, and if you have an agent that knows this, he makes sure you come prepared. And trust me, they have their sports physios and trainers and mental coaches on site at another place. So when they go run their times, they're in a way better situation. You're on your own. You're on survival. You're on your own. We barely had cell phones back then. And so you do that, then they usher you around. You have very minimal time to eat. They usher you around to all these interviews. And sometimes if they have, say, like a Peyton Manning in there, your time might be up. Then you got to go to another one. So they have runners taking you everywhere. And then the New York Giants, have this 350 plus questionnaire, which takes forever. It wear you out, right? And then you have to. They get you up early in the morning based on where you are and schedule wise. You got to take the Wonderlic test, right? And that's a big deal, right? It's kind of like the equivalent
Don't
of
tell CJ Stroud, but yeah,
of the AC. But guys don't get drafted because of that. A linebacker, you're supposed to be a thinker in position, be able to lead people, know defenses. It doesn't have anything to do with football. It's more, it's a bias test, and everybody, obviously they don't do it as much, but that wears you out. Then you got to go and do the physical. Now, I didn't have any big major surgeries or injuries coming in, but I'm telling you, after I left that, I felt like I was hurt. You do this thing straight up. They like, oh, you never have any shoulder injuries. Yank. Oh, you don't got bad knees? Yank.
Your ankles are good.
Your ankles are good, right? And then they have you do, at least when I was there, it's called the Cybex test. It's like you remember the Rocky IV against Ivan Drago where they did the quad thing? That was it. Now, mind you, you got to run a 40 at some point in time. And then
After that.
Yeah, and then they take you then they take you back to the hotel, more interviews. And so you're worried about all this other stuff. Oh, did I do good on the Wonderlic test? You're there for 10 minutes in front of Mike Shanahan and them, and then you're up all night. And then you're constantly getting new roommates because it's always, I had a lineman the first time and then, the defensive back after that. And then you got to do the bench and all the physical stuff. And then you're out of there. And then here's the worst part was you get to run 240s. The first 40 I ran, I think it might have even been at that time, it was Kevin Colbert at the time that was there, the Pittsburgh assistant GM or whatever. I felt like I ran faster than I did my second one. The second one I ran faster than the first one based on the stopwatch. But I didn't find out what I ran until I was about to take off on the plane. And it's only because
Really?
Yeah, they wouldn't tell you.
That seems kind of crazy.
It was the dumbest thing ever. Right? They didn't tell you anything.
What?
They just said good job. Well, you told it right. Well, they wouldn't tell you any of your stuff. Now you knew how many times you did on the bench. In your vertical, because you're counting, and you want, for like when you do the bench.
Are you counting, or are you just trying to be in the moment?
Oh yeah, because you're trying to get. I got 22. I'm trying to get to 18.
You got half of 44. That's a good number.
That is true, but the bad part was I should have took my gas because I was getting 26. But I wanted to get to 18 because for linebackers, anything 20 or above, you're fine. You just can't get below 20. You can't be like them dudes that go in and get like 4. That's just like, right. So I wanted to get to 18. Then I figured I could gut out a few more. But then, you factor in anxiety. And so when you train, you just have 2 45s on there. So depending on the guy, he'll extend the weight out. And it is harder when they extend the weight. They'll do 45, a 25, going down to 2. So it makes the weight longer.
Mm-hmm.
So it just depends on the dude. And so that's the only thing I really knew in the vertical because me and Joey Porter were going, I knew Joey.
And you out-jumped him, didn't you?
No, he out-jumped me. Without a doubt.
I was trying.
Well, I had him at first. He jumped. It was crazy. Now, I think you got to learn how to cheat on these tests though, too.
Oh.
Don't raise your arm. You got to flex your arm and all this stuff. I jumped 36 and he jumped 39. I was like, all right, you got me. But so you had know those, but the 40 was huge because that was a big deal. And the only reason I found out is because my agent represented a scout for the Broncos. Now he had represented him when he was a player. This guy was a scout. So he kind of got all of our in the agency's numbers and he was able to tell me. So I was able to, I did okay. So
you're okay with it? Content? Fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I ran pretty good. Yeah, I ran pretty good. I ran like 4.58, 4.53. Slowest I ran was 4.63. But
so you would have seen my heels, but that's okay.
It's all right.
I'm kidding.
If you Dallas Clark, I ain't catching you. So the combine's stressful. So for these guys that go in, you just got to make sure it's just all how you handle it. Now I think it's a little bit more relaxed and more.
Dallas Clark's official 40 was 4.65. Jay.
I'm embellishing talking about how fast he was. You know that, right?
But it still happened.
No, it didn't happen like you're portraying it, Austin.
That's how you're portraying it.
Here's exactly
how do you expect this to come off to a Colts fan?
Because here's exactly what happened. Okay, it's the cardinal sin that you ever do in a cover 2. Number one, and it's crazy because Vic Fangio was our D coordinator. And he had he was against linebackers. He's like, you got to cover and do safety jobs, right? It was like, this is counterproductive, right?
They're faster and counterproductive.
They're faster and they make more money than me, and I got to cover in the deep half. So they ran Dallas Clark up the middle, and we ran like a fire zone. And Gary Walker, for whatever reason, against a right-handed quarterback against Peyton Manning, decided not to contain him.
Thanks, Gary.
Thanks. He did it all the time. I was like, take him out or put him on the other side. Well, we're running cover 2. So once you get 25 yards down there, you're kind of like, well, what the hell's going on?
What am I supposed to do down here?
Right. So I seen Peyton just chuck it up there, right? But we had 2 safeties back there. One was Marcus Coleman, who I think is one of the best athletes I ever played with, and another one was Eric Brown. So I kind of throttled down a little bit. First, thinking that they're going to make the play. Marcus closed his eyes, went to go intercept the ball, went
undercut it too far.
Undercut it and cut me off. Dallas Carr catches it, breaks the tackle, going. I'm hauling. Then there you go. But he was rolling though. So I was trying to catch him from a standstill start. That's why he seemed so fast. But he was cold blooded though. Yeah.
That's not fair.
But so I mean, it's a stressful time, but it's way more lax now because they bring their trainers and nutritionists, and guys can actually say they're only going to run here at Nebraska or wherever they want, and then they don't mark them down for it. Here, like if we didn't perform at the combine or compete at the combine, they thought really something was wrong with you. You weren't a competitor. Literally. You know, I mean, I'm sure Peyton could or didn't have to, or somebody like that, but the rest of the draft you had to. Unless you were going to be a top 10 pick. And so, guys, you got guys that are going in the third, fourth round won't run at the combine.
Obviously, I think from the outside, you know, people would say, 40 is just a measure of how fast you are. But it's more than that, right? You actually learn like how explosive someone is, a little bit of reaction time,
to me,
a little
10
first
is the
step.
most important. Now, it's long speed.
And it matters differently according to the position, obviously.
Right,
but you can still learn something.
You
can
learn something, but it's not necessarily football related. It's the most non-football drill out there. You learn more about. Now, obviously, if you're a corner, you want to make sure you run a certain amount, right? So maybe that in receiver. But there's a lot of guys that ran fast 40s can't stop out and get out of their breaks. But the 10 is huge. That lets you know how explosive you are, especially for a lineman. There's no reason for an offensive lineman to run a 40. For what? You want a 10.
You block that guy 40 yards downfield. Yeah.
They ain't doing it. They're too lazy. You want quickness, short area quickness. How, can you bend and all that stuff? That's the most important, but everybody has to do it. It really, I think the 40 became a big drill in there because they had no idea to really how to test if somebody could play special teams. So they just became a 40-yard dash.
Well, it's also easy for fans to digest, easily televisable. Right, when you put the combine on TV, it's super simple to watch, super simple for fans to understand.
Right, and if you run a good 40, when they think that you're not that fast, you could be a long strider, right? I mean, I think I was probably a long strider, so they might think that you're slow. Well, you run a good 40, then it makes them go back and really take a good look at your tape. So it's definitely there is positives to it, but it's not as big a deal as it used to be. But it is stressful to run your 40 because you only get two of them. You don't really get to warm up because then that's another thing. Like we ain't have no trainer there. Like the guy that I worked out with, or we all worked. They didn't let anybody in around, like in any like connecting hotels or anything. It was just straight lockdown, right? So where these guys, they got their trainers and they would get to warm up right there to make sure they can perform. And we only got one pair of shoes, so you didn't get to wear one for the 40 and all that. We had one, and so
what brand?
What?
A shoe.
I had to wear Adidas.
Oh, just like your school shoes?
Yeah, you came, whatever you wanted. So if you came in there with these little track shoes, well, that's what you got to do, the short yard shuttle, and you're going to blow your ankle out.
Yeah, that's going to be a
problem.
So
you need something you need like a cross trainer. Well, the thing is like, so they get you there and everything is like, you're herding cattle. So it's very short amount of time to get you warmed up and then everything stops. And then you don't go right in to run. You got to wait till your name's called.
You got to find a way to stay warm.
You got to stay warm and all that, and you don't want to overexert yourself, and then you run it, and then it's over. And so it's so hopefully, you wish them all the luck. They'll all do well. They've all, probably well trained for it, and they'll all do well. They got to interview well, which they all will. And so, I think, you hope all of them that go to the combine to get drafted, and then one or two guys get drafted that are here. So, my experience was a little different, man. I had Javaris Green. He was an offensive tackle from Central Florida, and they burst on the scene because of Dante Culpepper. He was an offensive tackle. Ended up playing against him. He actually ended up being pretty good. Tony George was a defensive back from Florida. Who ended up shooting somebody actually because I think he might have been from Charlotte, but I just picked up the papers. Tony George, nobody.
That Tony George?
Yeah, that Tony George. He shot somebody. I think he's out now. And then Ricky Williams was checking into my room when I was leaving. He was actually pretty cool.
For a
So,
Texas guy.
Yeah, but he was pretty cool. So so those are, you just come across unique characters, but then you just get in the interview process and talk about Bill Polian.
Did you have a good interview?
Good.
One that stood out?
I really like Mike Shanahan and Greg Robinson. They end up taking Al Wilson.
Their loss.
My best interview, and my best connection, was with Sam Mills. He was a linebacker coach at Carolina. They had picked in free agent a lot of guys from Nebraska. Me and him hit it off. He kept in touch with me the whole time. Matter of fact, I thought I was going there. When I didn't get drafted, I think in the 3rd and 4th, he had called. He said, it's between you and another guy. I'm telling him you're the guy I want. And they end up drafting actually a really good linebacker named Hannibal Navies from Colorado, who was more of an outside guy. I was more I played outside, but I was more pro ready. Hannibal was more of a on the ball Sam linebacker. Ended up playing pretty good. We actually ended up playing together for a couple of years at the end of my career. And then they thought like, okay, but then I was like, oh, they can get me in the 5th round. I'd be cool because we had some teammates down there. Well, then they traded their 5th round pick. Then I was like, oh crap, is the brother gonna get drafted? Is the brother gonna get drafted? Then you worried about getting embarrassed. And then the funniest thing was I knew Minnesota needed a linebacker. Of course,
you got ties.
Yeah. And I knew they weren't going to pick a linebacker early, and it came in the 5th round. And I'd interviewed well with them. I was a ball boy. Everybody knew me up there. I knew Denny Green a little bit, knew some people up there. And they end up taking this little linebacker from Clemson and Chris Jones. And here's the funny thing about the draft. They generally are trying to draft guys that are successful up there. So a really good linebacker might be the best linebacker in Minnesota, like Viking history, stat-wise for sure. His name's Eddie McDaniel, who was I think a free agent, but a smaller linebacker, kind of just willed his way onto the team, and then he ended up being a really good player, and Denny Green loved him, was from Clemson. And so Chris Jones, who was a real small linebacker, real small, like maybe at that time 210, 215, they're thinking we can, redo history and draft him. And so they drafted him instead of me. So I'm like, damn, right? All the teams I'm thinking, Philly, they drafted Barry Gardner and all the teams that I had really good rapport with them. I thought I was going to get drafted by Cleveland. Listen, Cleveland, that linebacker, he worked the dog crap out of me in the hey,
Mike Singletary level?
No, when he worked out me and Chad Kelsey after our pro day. When I tell you that dude worked the dog crap out of us, killed us. Every drill possible. Where me and Chad were like, hey, come on now. Now, we black shirts. We got to get through this. And we looked at each other like, damn, he killed us for like 45 minutes. But then he was calling me all the time. So I thought I was going. They drafted Wally Rainier, who actually me and him played in the All-Star game together. And he was a good player too. He had a real freak injury, and then he got staph or something like that. He a good dude. But then Cincinnati too. Mark Duffner, who was a longtime linebacker coach there. I don't know. He might even still be there. The thing about I knew Cincinnati was cheap because he was a linebacker coach. He had to do all the scouting. He had to do all the reports. So they didn't. Mike Brown said, we ain't have no scout room. You get in where you fit in. But he called me all the time, and he's like, keep me updated. And then here's the funny thing about it, man. This is where I think my agent could have done a better job. And if I had to tell people, kids, to give them some advice, always curtail your answers to the team that you study the teams that are calling you. So Tampa Bay calls me. Now, mind you, Monty Kiffin's down. I'm not even thinking. Right now, they called me at the end of the 3rd round or whatever. The 3rd round's over, going to next or whatever. They're asking me, and they were asking me about my weight. Right?
Rude.
Now, well, here's the thing. Everybody in the league wanted big linebackers except Tampa. So they were asking me what my weight was, and I was like, "Oh, I'm 240." And then I'm trying to think, all right, I'm 245. They were like, "Oh, this dude's too big." They want a small guy. Well, actually, at that point in time, I had to really work at staying at 240 or 42, because I hadn't matured enough, so I had to like kind of maybe like overeat to get right. Whereas like I could have just say using, I'm originally a walking around 230, might have worked out. So I talked myself out of that, right? So then I'm like, man,
But you avoided Tampa.
I might not get drafted, this, and this, and I didn't have anything. And like I said, the two places that I did not want to go, this is how dumb I was. When everybody asks you, I'm like, all right, I want to go California, a bigger city, right? I was like, man, I've been playing in Nebraska and it's been cold. I don't want to go to Buffalo or Green Bay. Right? I mean, why would I, right?
Honest.
If I want to go to Minnesota or Detroit, I'm playing in a dome.
Right.
Well, I go to the combine, them the two people they interviewed me. Right? So I'm like, cool. And they'd already had like that linebacker. I think they just had drafted like Hardy Nickerson or traded or signed him or whatever. So I'm like, cool. There's no two places. So then the next thing you know, I'm sliding down the draft. I'm mad. My dad cussing out my agent. I'm mad. I'm thinking like I need to fire his butt. And Wiltz got drafted by the Jets. And my dad and Bill Parcells know each other. But Bill Parcells called. He's like, we have to draft the defensive tackle right now. The Jets didn't, so I was like, dang, the Jets didn't have anybody till late. Think they might took Eric Barton or something. It was a real deep linebacker class, man. There was dudes getting drafted I ain't never heard of. And then I was, at that time they were the Redskins. They drafted a dude that didn't even go to the combine. So he had a good pro day. His last name was like Stimson. So I was supposed to go there, right? He went in the 4th round. So then I'm like, everywhere I want to go is out. Everybody that I had good interviews is out. So I'm just stuck. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, dang, and that's the hard part about the combine. If I could talk to people about the combine is, look, you played everything you could do on the field. You can't go back and change how you played. You played good enough to get there. You do everything at the combine, and it still might not work out the way you want it, right? And so you start to get frustrated, and I was definitely frustrated. I was mad at that point. Then you're telling me, I don't even want to get drafted. You know what I'm saying? Then my agent
Nate Stimson.
Yeah, Nate Stimson, right? Didn't go to the combine, but ran a good 40. Another Charlie Castley dude. So next thing you know, 716 came across that cell phone. And this is the funny thing about it. Another number came across before I answered it. And it was like a distant friend of my dad asking, like, hey, man, we're watching the draft. What's up? You ain't got drafted yet. Man, stop calling me, right? Hung up the phone, and Buffalo call, rest is history. And then all that literally went away. But all that work that you're doing right now, because here's the thing, it's like you got to do a lot of like feeding the faith, right? And you're starving the doubt, because you'll go somewhere. You could go to, like, say, like if I was draft eligible, you go and you work out at Nebraska. You're putting in the work. You've done good enough on the field. You're going to the combine, and just say at this point the combine's over. Well, now you're up there is when you're in the moment working out. You're eating right. You're doing everything you need to do. You think everybody's like, you're going to get drafted. Your agent tells you you've done everything to get drafted. Mm-hmm. Heck, they're having meetings all the meetings are probably why they don't want to draft you.
How many Huskers were taken in your draft? You and how many others?
Mike Rucker, Jason Wiltz.
Yep.
Myself.
Yep.
Chris Brown.
Yep.
Chad Kelsey.
Yep.
Sheldon Jackson.
And
Joel Makovica.
There it is.
Is that 7?
7.
Well, that's right. You know how we do. Yeah. So it's tough though, man. It's a tough process. I truly feel if I could have got to, what's crazy is I felt the Senior Bowl was the place that you could go and make noise. I remember watching the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, we get down there. I saw Keith Brooken go from like free agent to first round. Now I'm not saying I wouldn't, but I'm like, if I could get down there with the way we practice, oh yeah, it would be like, man. And my dad had won the Senior Bowl MVP. My agent was like, hey man, it's a good story. And Hayden Fry called down there to get a linebacker, and this is how weird you always. I remember this, right? I can't remember anything. I got memory issues. Dude named Matt Hughes, linebacker from Iowa. They took him because he was 6'3.5", and I was only like 6'2", because it was all measurables.
And guess what? Matt Hughes didn't get drafted.
I know that.
I figured you knew that.
I knew that.
For the audience.
I knew that. And I was thinking, like, and that's what he told my agent, right? Found out a little bit more after that. And so I watched him in the game. I was like, come on, man. This dude.
There's also one Nebraska Omaha player taken in the 99 draft.
Was that Jenkins?
Yeah.
Yeah. Marte.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Matt Hughes. Okay. Oh, should have, could have. Anyways, that's the combine. Wish them all the luck. They'll all do well. And the guys that don't get drafted, trust me, it doesn't matter. Trust me, when you get in the NFL locker room, there'll be more guys there that shouldn't be there than not. So, anyways, we'll take a quick break. Jay Foreman, Austin Oerman, come back. We'll talk about what Philly needs to do in the offseason. What is it? I don't know what it's like to be a Super Bowl champ, but we'll talk about what they need to do because they lost their coordinator. That will change things for Jalen Hurts and the landscape of the Eagles. Jay Foreman, Austin Oerman. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Oerman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Load up on meat and more this winter at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This week's special through February 18th is 15% off chocolates, 15% off wines and spirits, and $10 off filet mignon per pound. Locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Attention! For the entire month of February, Acres has John Deere packaged oil and filters for 15% off. John Deere engineers its oil filters specifically for large ag equipment and commercial and residential mowers. With premium materials, these filters meet the unique demands of your farm and acreage. Following a strict maintenance routine with premium John Deere oil and filters ensures your equipment will run efficiently for years. Visit your local Acres store to start shopping today.
Gentlemen, Valentine's Day is just around the corner. Don't be that guy running to the store for flowers and a card on your way home. Hey, Rick Heyman here from Sartor Heyman Jewelers. We have great Valentine's gifts in store now. And if you spend $99, we'll throw in a free bouquet of a dozen roses. Give her what she really wants this year and let us do the rest. Sartor Heyman Jewelers, your hometown jeweler since 1905 in Lincoln and Grand Island. Online at sartorheyman.com.
Every home is different. Every family is different. So when it's time for a new heating and cooling system, why not get what fits you best? Get the perfect fit with Bryant. Maybe you need higher efficiency, better humidity control, increased warranty, or all the bells and whistles. Bryant provides options in warranty, features, comfort, and efficiency while maximizing savings. Call Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing, 467-1111, or visit BryantLincoln.com. Bryant, whatever it takes.
Hey guys, Austin Oerman here. Join me and Jay Foreman this Friday, February 14th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Complex for weigh-ins for Saturday's The Heart of the Lion boxing event. Weigh-ins are at 6 p.m. and the public is welcome to be there. That's Friday the 14th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Complex at 1555 Yolanda Avenue, just off Cornhusker Highway.
Be sure to check out the top-selling Recomp. Recomp helps build lean muscle and strength while decreasing body fat. Recomp is ideal for men and women of all ages trying to look their best. Recomp can only be found in Nutrition Authority. For info, visit mynutritionauthority.com.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just a professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, our passion. For happier, healthier furry friends.
Back to old school on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
What up? We're back. Jay Foreman, Austin Oerman, second segment. Trying to give all our knowledge to the Philadelphia Eagle fans. What do Philadelphia Eagles need to do in the offseason, or what's next for them? What's next for them is just more of the same. They're a very young team. Everybody's in their like apex of their career. I think salary cap wise, they're pretty good. I mean, I think their biggest free agent to possibly lose is a guy that they fell into in Zach Bond, and because they originally brought in White to be the starter. Mm-hmm. Bond came in kind of like a one-year prove it deal, and he more than proved it. So he might be gone, considering that now you're looking at a guy that's going to go demand top dollar. So that's a big hole to miss. He's a playmaker. He's a leader. He sets the tone. But I will tell you, in Vic Fangio's defense, he's able to find some diamonds in the rough, and you won't be able to.
Bond was one of them.
Yeah, and you won't be able to replace him play for play, but you can piece together one legit starter, and then hopefully the emergence of some other guys.
Some other interesting free agents. So Adam Schefter put out his list of the free agents. Bond's the first one he mentioned. Josh Sweat,
yes,
who had the couple sacks. Brandon Graham,
yeah,
integral kind of piece in the locker room.
And he's legend. I think a guy like, I don't mean to cut you off. A guy like Brandon Graham is great because he's played his whole career at Philly. I'd hope he comes back. I really hate that Jason Kelce didn't come back. But I hope he doesn't want to probably go anywhere else. Unless somebody gives him crazy money, he won't leave, and it's kind of like, all right, you draft a guy, is he dependable? Okay, well, you don't bring back Sweat, bring me back. I'm on a pitch count. Low input, high return.
A few other interesting names before the two big ones I think the Eagles will really have to decide on. Avonte Maddox, Kenneth Gainwell, Oren Burks, who we talked about leading up to the Super Bowl, CJ Uzomah, Nick Gates, and LaRaven Clark. That's a former Colts, at least that name. But the two names, Jay, that really stood out to me from this list. Number one, guy that's going to be pretty pricey, Milton Williams, defensive tackle.
Yes.
Played really well for them. And then a guy that Schefter has listed as an offensive tackle, but who played guard for Philly, Mekhi Becton.
Yeah.
Pick him up on a whim, move him inside. He's a part of that, big, strong offensive line. Those are two guys I'm fascinated to see how much they test the open market versus, hey, I found a home in a system that works for me. I'm sticking around.
Yeah, I think when Mekhi Becton, he hasn't had a second contract.
No.
If you get somebody that puts him in there,
if he still wants to be a tackle or if he's comfortable at guard.
Guards get paid a lot now. I could see him going to a place like New England. Considering that one guard from like East Tennessee that Bill Belichick took, but Becton go there because Vrabel likes big physical guards. Otherwise, he can probably go back to Philly. But also, you got to think number 56 for Philly played a lot.
Yeah.
And so they feel like with their offensive line coach, especially if Lane Johnson comes back, put him in at right guard, you can kind of piece together with 56. And then also you're saving money for the future for Cam Jurgens, right? And so that's huge. But I'm telling you, Burns, the linebacker, is an integral part in their offseason. You can't lose both of them.
Right. Those are two
now.
stars.
Now you got to think. You think Nakobe Dean's going to come back and take Bond's spot. It's an if, but you expect it, especially with the injury they had. You got to bring back Burns because he's a lower price tag. He's actually played better for you, and you're not going to be able to play Zach Bond what he's going to get. Yeah. So
he probably shouldn't.
Yeah,
but which is horrible to say, right? I mean, he earned every penny he's going to get, but in Philly's case specifically,
yeah. And then with Williams, you have to bet on somebody's going to overpay for him because he's played really, really well at this year, and he has championship pedigree.
Mhm.
Remember when they lost Hargrove
Yeah.
a couple years ago? Same thing.
Right.
So that's fine, and that's fine. Now, if you're able to get him back, great. Now you need the Big Davis to get
Jordan
it.
Davis and Jalen Carter.
You're right.
Go get it.
Jalen Carter's fine. Now you need the Jordan Davis to emerge. Now he's got to be able to push the pocket. Now he's got to be able to play really good against the run and then effectively. Also, I think Philly does a really good job of scouting and developing interior defensive line, so it won't be that big of a loss. It will be, but it won't be. And they're good problems to have.
Offensively, should Philly get someone that coaches like Kellen Moore and try to rinse and repeat, or what should Philly do to keep the edge, the competitiveness on offense, and maximize what they have back?
I think they need to promote from within. Whoever would be the next in line need to promote from within. Jalen Hurts has shown you. Listen, I think that every year he's played, essentially since high school, he's had a different coordinator.
He and Baker are the two that just get no consistency.
So, but he literally every year that he's played since high school, he's had a different coordinator. So you need somebody that he knows, whether it's the quarterback coach or something. You need some continuity. That's what I would do. Now you probably keep the same playbook, and then you just add a little bit of flavor to it. I think Sirianni is an offensive play caller by nature. He can step in and help, but ultimately he's done a really good job of being the CEO. You don't want to take away from that, considering this is dealing with a championship type of mindset that you want to hire somebody, empower him to be the coach that he needs to be, and then go from there. And obviously, what the head coach think is going to oversee it. You gotta make sure his philosophy is there. But I think if you go and try to hire like a Mike McCarthy or something like that, I just think you're just doing a 1-year rental. You're trying to build with your franchise quarterback.
Sports Illustrated has its list of five through 1. Gerard Johnson, quarterbacks coach at Houston,
who used to be at Philly.
Yeah,
I
Frank
like that.
Reich.
I like that.
Doug Nussmeier, who's the quarterbacks coach right now for Philly.
I really like that.
Mike LaFleur, OC for the Rams.
That's probably at 4 for me.
And then Kevin Patullo, the pass game coordinator and associate head coach at Philly right now.
I like those 4 that have some sort of association with them. I would probably do Nussmeier. I'll even put Frank Wright even higher than that, just because he's a former head coach and beloved in Philly.
Yeah,
so Frank
Philly
Wright
wasn't, but
yeah, Frank Wright would be number 1 for me. I would say Nussmeier number 2, just because of the connection, and maybe put Nussmeier at 3, and then the associate head coach at 2, and then Jared Johnson at a close 4, and then a distance is the offensive Rams.
Right?
Yeah. Just because of continuity, and I'm sure all those guys have some sort of connection, but I like a direct connection, so it's easier for Jalen Hurts. Because you saw some improvement, now you got to get the consistency there. Consistency comes from the same coaches.
Who is the X factor for that Eagles offense next year and staying at the same level? Is it Jalen Hurts, going back to MVP form? Is it another similar year from Saquon? Offensive line replacements?
I think whoever becomes offensive coordinator. Because you got to think teams are going to play better against the run.
Yeah.
They're going to find ways to do it, especially if you lose Becton. Okay, well, then the offensive coordinator is going to have to be able to find a way to have that passing game fit Jalen Hurts, but then also be explosive enough for 2 alphas out there on number 1, and then also find a way to incorporate the tight end more too.
Yeah.
So more innovative, more creative, but then also more of the same. So it's an easy job to talk about, the hard thing to do.
Simple does not mean easy.
Yeah, because you got no weaknesses, and you have to worry about this sometimes as a coordinator. Sometimes having too many options makes you end up like Florida State was when they had that big portal. Remember when they played in Ireland? They were trying to get everybody touches, and there wasn't any offensive flow. Right. It's kind of like having a basketball player, AAU team with 7 starters. You're trying to just get guys minutes and get shots. You ain't even trying to win. So ultimately, within what is my vote. So, anyways, we're gonna take a quick break. Come back, talk about the Huskers tonight, give our prediction, and then we'll turn it over to WTF. Jay Foreman, Austin Oerman. We'll be right back.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Oerman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call Patriot Plumbing at 402-464-7411 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-464-7411.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old-fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see lots of sunshine with a light breeze. Despite the cold start, we'll see a high near 24. Tonight, increasing clouds, a continued breeze, low near 10. And tomorrow, a chance of wintry mix, otherwise mainly cloudy and windy with the high near 38. The meteorologist Kyle Beck for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Right now, when you drive by Honda of Lincoln, you'll see more than 200 new Hondas and over 125 pre-owned vehicles. Hi, Charlie Stone here, and with me on the line is Andy Goodyear of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, how does it feel to have so many vehicles in stock again for your customers?
Charlie, it feels amazing to see how excited our customers are. They love the ability to see, test drive, and take immediate delivery of the exact new Honda they're looking for.
Do you have some good offers to talk about?
We sure do, Charlie. We're offering financing as low as 0.9% APR up to 72 months or great lease rates on every new Honda. It's the perfect time to drive away in the new Honda you've been dreaming of.
How about pre-owned, Andy?
We have over 125 pre-owned and certified pre-owned vehicles to choose from. Just about every make and model with prices starting at under $10,000.
Maybe it's time you experience the best, the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Hey guys, Austin Norman here. Join me and Jay Foreman this Friday, February 14th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Complex for weigh-ins for Saturday's The Heart of the Lion boxing event. Weigh-ins are at 6 p.m. and the public is welcome to be there. That's Friday the 14th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Complex at 1555 Yolanda Avenue, just off Cornhusker Highway.
Have you heard about Advanced Medical Imaging Surgery Center? Located at 7555 Pioneers Boulevard, Advanced Medical Imaging Surgery Center offers compassionate, patient-focused care and provides outpatient surgery services, making it possible to have non-emergency surgery and return home the same day. Advanced Medical Imaging Surgery Center specializes in cardiology, vascular radiology, orthopedics, pain management, and much, much more. Give them a call today at 402-261-1085 or online at amimaging.com.
What's going on, fans? This is Lexi Rodriguez, four-time All-American at Nebraska and now proud member of Omaha's newest professional team, Love Omaha Volleyball. League One Volleyball is bringing the heat this year. Don't miss your chance to see Olympians, national players, and national champions right here in Omaha from now through April. We can't wait to see you cheering us on in the stands. Visit lovboma.com to buy single match tickets to see me and Love Omaha Volleyball in action this season. Go Big Green!
Back to Old School on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Jay Foreman, Austin Oerman. Quick segment before we turn it over to E. Strick and Cade Johnson, former Bellevue West football player. Played in the NFL as well, and so I'm sure he's trying to get back in. But then also
he's in the XFL.
XFL,
yeah.
But I'm sure he wants to get back up to the league.
Yeah,
he was drafted by Seattle. He had a couple. He had an unfortunate injury, and then I think with the regime change, they kind of, I hate it for young players like that. I've seen it. I've been a part of it. Later in my career, when you're a little bit like when you're injured. They say they're going to give you a chance, but they don't have any obligation to you, and then they have free reign to kind of dangle you. Whereas, like when you watch, I remember watching Cade in the preseason time he played. And I always tell people this, and this is whether it's Cade or anybody, it's a thin line from playing on TV, and now they have more options to play in different leagues and stuff like that than being at home. And that's the crazy thing about the NFL. Very rarely, and Cade can speak on this, so I don't want to speak for him. Very rarely, guys like Cade or myself towards the end of my career, it had to do with production on the field. Very rarely. I can almost guarantee you when Cade looks back on guys that they decided to kind of move forward with, it was good old boys, like, coach knew another coach or, brought him a player from another stop or something like that. But he's doing well right now, and then it's always you just got to get in where you fit in, and then the great thing about it, he goes down there and produces where he's at, he'll get another shot, and then he'll make it. Then he'll play as long as he can up there. So, but you got Nebraska basketball tonight. You got about 2 minutes. Tricky game. The team that Maryland's dangerous. You're a little wounded, but it's not a team that you fear. I think Maryland played almost as good as they could have played when they beat Nebraska. They hit some huge shots. That three, that step back three from Maryland's left corner, I think towards their bench side, when Nebraska, I think, had a 2-point lead to give Maryland that 1-point lead. People always think they always look at the difference in the score. It's the momentum shift at the time of the game because you're on the road and you expect them to get momentum at some point at home. That shot, and I think it's a player they normally didn't expect to hit threes. I think it was.
Well, it was Selton Miguel.
Yeah.
Was the guy that really popped off.
Right.
A guy that is fine. Like he's one of their double-digit scores, but not that guy.
Yeah, in that game, he was that dude.
Problem is Rodney Rice was their other guy that hit a couple big shots. Only hit a couple of them. They were at key times, and you lost Gillespie.
Right.
Multiple times. That was what stood out to me as I watched the game back today. Robbie Hummel said in the first half on the call, Nebraska just doesn't look like it knows who it's guarding out there. And guess what happened? Jacoby Gillespie got free time and time again. When the Nebraska needed to stop, Maryland went to him. Nebraska couldn't hang with him. He was like 5 for 9 on threes. Hit the one at the end of the first half, hit one to put him up 2 or 3 possessions late in the game. And those ended up being the difference in a 3-point game.
Yeah, and those and the huge thing was, I think, wasn't the Maryland game after the shellacking in Purdue? Or was that after Iowa?
It was game number 4 in the losing streak, whatever that was. So let me pull the schedule up here. I know that was game number 4 because it dropped Nebraska to 12-5. So it went, it was right after Rutgers. So you lose at Iowa, at Purdue, lose to Rutgers
at home,
then go back out.
Right, and it was, and then Ace Bailey got busy, and they were really in a weird place where I think that sometimes I would say this, and I think this team has passed it, and this is credit to Fred and those guys. Sometimes when you're on a good defensive squad from years past, you're thinking you're that team. In the present,
yeah, no,
I think they're playing better team defense now, and you saw it against Ohio State. It's definitely more. And you're not going to depend on the crowd. They knew they brought it, so I expect Nebraska to really clamp down on them. I think the biggest thing with Burke being gone, you're going to need the 2 guys that I talked about. You need a Sejan and Raleigh to actually help nullify Reese on the boards.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because I think Burke did a decent job. He picked up a lot of long rebounds against Nebraska to get him double digits.
Yeah.
Okay. Those long rebounds have got to be guards knifing in there and getting them. If they do that and one of those guys steps up, Nebraska wins. So I think Nebraska will win. I think it's going to be an overtime game. Nebraska wins by 4.
Maryland has not lost a game by more than 6 points this year. It's going to be tight. It's going to be back and forth.
Win by 4 in overtime.
Nebraska's got to tighten up on the details. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
It'll look different than last time with no Bear K, but he wasn't a huge factor. Just find a way.
Yeah. It's going to be a long night for you, though. You and Strick.
That's
But
okay.
I'll be listening.
I signed up for it. Strick's complaining.
Yeah.
Not
all right.
too bad, but
he'll get through. I'll be listening for you guys.
Thank you, Jay.
Anyways, appreciate you guys listening. Once again, keep listening again. WTF, E. Strick, Kate Johnson, but Jay Foreman, Austin Oerman, Old School. We'll holler at you tomorrow.
Load up on meat and more this winter at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This week's special through February 18th is 15% off chocolates, 15% off wines and spirits, and $10 off filet mignon per pound. Locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Discover the difference that expertise and experience can make in your real estate journey with Next Ag Appraisal and Realty. Whether you need an appraisal, sales, or farm management, Next Ag comes up with a solution with your legacy and goals in mind. Next Ag isn't just their name, it's your future. So why wait? Visit their website today at www.nextagrealestate.com or give them a call at 402-380-0432 and turn your dreams into reality. Your land, your legacy, their solution. Next Ag Appraisal and Realty.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price.